How to Win Friends and Influence People. This is the exclusive Mentor Box video. This video is designed to allow you to not have to read the whole book, to speed up your learning process, and to expand on some things that the book doesn't even cover. So first, make sure you have your study guide. Study guide has questions. That's very important because as you write things, you apply them to your life. So if you want to take a second during the video, you can pause it and fill out the study guide and then come back and unpause. I'll kind of walk you through a few things. So what's this book about and why is it important to you? The reason it was included in this mentor box, this month's box, is because this is a book that has changed literally tens of thousands of people's lives, including one of my favorites, billionaire Warren Buffett. He says the best $1,000, I think it was $1,000 he ever spent in his life, was back in the 1940s. He bought a course by Dale Carnegie on public speaking and how to win friends and influence people. And he said it wasn't too much later that he found his wife and he became less introverted, became more extroverted, and that was the key to not only his finding his wife but also his success in business. So this book has far-reaching consequences for your life. There's a great book that we'll probably include in some other mentor boxes called Social by Matt Lieberman, and he's a scientist at UCLA who does very advanced research on how the human brain works. And he told me he was at my house last year, and he said, Ty, what people have to understand is most of your brain activity is around social life, gauging how other people feel about you, how you feel about them, determining how to get them to be your ally, determine who's your enemy and who doesn't like you and who's working against you. And this book is kind of the fundamental. If somebody comes to me and says, hey Ty, I want to get better at public speaking. Hey Ty, I want to be better. I want to get a promotion at my job. I want to be better at sales. I want to date better people or get married. I want to not be so lonely and so depressed. I refer them right to this book because at the end of the day, if you know how to win friends and influence people, you are triggering the most important parts of your brain, which is that social life and that harmonious social life. So this book is divided into 4 main areas. You have the fundamental techniques to handle people. You have 6 ways to make people like you more. How to win people to your way of thinking, and then lastly, how to be a leader. So I'm going to go through some of this. I think the most important thing in section 1 here, techniques in handling people, you have to be very, very careful with criticism and complaining. So there is a principle that's kind of, you hear people talking about, which is like attracts like. And I think that it's a broad generalization, but it's generally true. If you want to attract high quality people, you have to predominantly be a positive person. Okay? And that's not some, hippie, new age stuff. This is just practical common sense. Nobody wants to be brought down all the time. And when you study the 25 psychological cognitive biases, the first most important one is reward bias. So when people feel rewarded by being around you, they're going to want to be around you. And if you're constantly negative, critical, condemning, or complaining, people move away. This is one of the things that is the basis of all psychology. We move towards what makes us feel good. We move away from what causes us pain. So in your workbook, write down what percentage of the time when you're interacting with the people in your life, friends, family, romance, coworkers, are you positive versus negative. Be very honest. Phil Jackson, the most winning, or I think he's now considered the most winning coach in basketball history per game, and the most championships. He has, I think, 13 rings. He coached Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe Bryant. He had a simple ratio. I think it was either 3-1 or 5-1. Before he would criticize a player, he would always be sure he had said 3 positive things that they had done. This opens up the brain. You don't have to be disingenuous. You don't have to be cheesy with this. You can always find something interesting about somebody, most people. If you can't find anything interesting, don't be around them at all. But look for those, pick your spots when it comes to criticizing people. So again, fill workbook, question number 1, what percentage, just guess, of the time when you interact with people that you know, are you positive? Okay? The second thing is, what ratio have you been following in your criticism to praise ratio? All right, write that down. If you need to pause this video, go ahead and pause it. Take some time to think about this. All right. This is, the second point in this section, or section B, point B, be honest and sincere. So when you're doing the praise, be careful to not be cheesy. People can feel that very quickly. So you want to say something, even if there's let's say you have somebody who's frustrating working for you. You can say something like, hey, you know what? I'm glad you're here. You're willing to put in the effort. I see you trying. Thank you for that. Okay? It's better to do that than say to somebody who knows they're not doing a good job, oh, you're awesome, you're so awesome. Don't do that. Don't be cheesy. Point C, you really have to remember what a business entrepreneur told me once. He said, Ty, sometimes you have to hide the broccoli with some cheese. And he called that seduction marketing. So the ideal way to win friends and influence people is have people coming to you. What you pursue sometimes moves away from you. So you need to arouse in other people, Dale Carnegie says, an eager want in them, right? Where they want to be around you. We'll be talking, that's kind of the gist of this whole book, but just keep that as a framework in the back of your mind, how you're going to deal with people from now on. You're going to make them excited to hang out with you versus you pursuing them. If you want to raise, you want to figure out how to get the boss to come to you first and say, you're doing such a good job. We got to pay you more. This is the dream. It doesn't always work out that way, but as you follow this book and the key principles, that starts to happen more. I've seen it over and over again. Okay, let's get to section 2. How do you get people to like you? Now, I want to just say, preface, sometimes people don't like this and go, well, I don't want to live for the approval of other people. Well, that's true. You don't want to live completely for the approval of other people, but you need good people to like you. Trust me. You need the right person to like you in order to find love romantically. You need it for business partners. You need it to get hired at the right jobs. You need it to just find allies and friends in general in life. So don't pull away from the thought of making yourself more attractive as a socially. It's funny, when it comes to gyms, everybody gets it. You go to the gym so that you can be healthier, and because people want to be around other people that are healthy. Like, people get that at the gym. You got to do the same with your social life. This book and this program, Mentor Box, is kind of like a gym for your brain, and you need to exercise the parts that makes you more attractive socially. So, principle A in section 2 here, very simple. Be genuinely interested in other people. I had a lawyer who used to work for me in North Carolina, and he met President Bill Clinton when Bill Clinton was the president. He told me he had the most amazing experience, and he was a Republican, so he wasn't even a Democrat like Bill Clinton, but he was there at the White House, and he said Bill Clinton came and there was like 50 lawyers being recognized, and Bill Clinton walked down, he's the president, shook hands with all 50 of them, and saw their name tag and said their name, and Matt was my friend's name, said later on they were having cocktails. About an hour later, everybody had taken their name tag off, and the president of the United States walked by him and said, hey, how's it going, Matt? And he said he was blown away. The president of the United States had met him once, read the name tag, took a genuine interest in remembering him later, and that had a huge effect. And you don't necessarily need to remember everybody's name, but when you could take a genuine interest in people, guess what? People love themselves. So when you love them and are interested in them, you automatically remind them of themselves. And I know this sounds narcissistic, but one of the principles for all of us humans, we're all guilty of this, we love ourselves. It's built into us, it's a survival instinct. When we feel other people have our best interests at heart, we like them. That's really the definition of allies. Somebody, if you got in a car accident today and you were at a hospital, you feel would show up and would care about you and would take time out of their day. I read a sad book, the story of Johnny Carson, the Tonight Show host. And when he died in Cedar Sinai hospital, not one person showed up. His own children. He at one point was the most popular person in the world, the most recognized face. But he didn't know how to win friends and influence people, and he died completely alone. Nobody cared about him. And so you don't want that. And the way you really start becoming better socially, and I would say this is the main crux of this whole book, the one takeaway, if I had to remember one thing, be genuinely interested in the people you meet. And by doing this one thing, you will see big changes in your social life. Your boss, be genuinely interested in their life. Remember, in a genuine way. So if you don't care at all about baseball and your boss likes baseball, don't start just talking about baseball all the time. Try to find some commonality, some common ground where you can be genuine, yet take an interest in something they have an interest in. Next simple thing, smile. There's been all kinds of scientific studies on the power of smiles. People who smile more are more approachable. Remember, if you want people coming to you, you're not having to go to them. Smiling, having that open posture when you're in a crowd or at a business networking dinner, at an airport, wherever you are, gives people the signal that you're approachable, okay? And you want to be approachable. So smiling, very powerful tool. Practice smiling in the mirror sometimes. If you don't like your teeth, this is a little side note. I recommend, if you can, get braces, get teeth whitening if you need to. All those things. I know that's a little technical point, but those are important things. Those are not. It's not vanity. It's important. It'll make smiling is that important. Take care of your teeth. You know, if that's something you need to do. A little side note. Okay, one of the things in the workbook here. Pick one person mentally. Could be a boss, could be someone you're dating or a friend, and list out 3 things you could be more interested in about them. 3 questions you could ask them that show that you're genuinely interested in them. Okay? We don't have anything in the workbook on smiling. You can just look in a mirror and smile. Okay, point C. Remember that a person's name is the sweetest and most important sound in any language. It's going back to loving yourself. Dale Carnegie says in his book, say people's names to themselves. Remember names. Gonna give you a quick tool here, memory tool. I used to own nightclubs. Pick a way. There's many ways to remember names. I would find out people's birthday and use astrology. Even if you don't believe in astrology, I would be like Aries, Adam or something like that. But one of the best principles, find something on their face and make up a little story about it. So like, my name's Ty, you could be like, say you don't like my hair. You could be like, terrible hair, Ty. And those little teeny mnemonics, just as you practice it, you can't believe how much better you'll get. There's a whole other memory technique, but that simple one of finding something on the face really works well. Okay, I can do it. And Adrian's over here. If I didn't know him and he said, hey, my name's Adrian, I'd be like, what would I say about you, Adrian?
Hey, yo, Adrian.
No, yeah, there you go. I would think of him because he kind of reminds me, he does Sylvester Stallone impersonations. I'd be like, yo, Adrian. A simple thing like that. And it's, the brain picks up much better on memory triggers like that. Memory hooks, they call them. Okay, number 4, be a good listener. We've all been around people that, you ever been around somebody, Brian Regan, the comedian, he says, the person who's just waiting for your lips to stop moving so they can talk. Never be that person, and never be the one-up person. If somebody tells a story, Brian Regan has a great video on this on YouTube if you Google. He talks about never tell the 2 wisdom teeth story. He said he was at a party and he said, yeah, I just had 2 wisdom teeth pulled. He said all the 4 wisdom teeth people pop in and want to beat you with their story. Be like, oh, you had 2, I had 4. So don't be that person. Those are all negative cues that make people not want to be around you. So not listening in the sense that the second they stop talking, you talk. This is a huge flaw. And I have to control myself. That's a natural weakness I have. I'm kind of full of energy. And sometimes the best thing you do, I used to practice, this is a simple tool. Whenever you're on the phone, put the phone on mute. And then let them talk. And when they're done, it'll take you a couple seconds to unmute. And that makes them feel like they're getting some time that you're actually processing what they said, and it forces you to process. So good listening skills, you've heard that before, but here's just a practical tip. On the phone, mute it. When people are talking, don't one-up them. Don't one-up them. You can do it later. Do it, I would say, 10 minutes later. If you do it right after, it's a great way to make people not like you. We all know somebody like that. This, whatever you say, they got to beat you. Whatever you say, they're ready to talk the second you're done. So get in that habit of waiting, count to 3 in your head when people are done talking. And that little moment of pause shows them that you are processing what they said. Talk in terms of other people's interests. Now, what does that mean? Basically means you want to, remember when I said you're listening to them, you're asking genuine interest. Your boss likes baseball, assuming you like baseball, so it can be authentic. Sometimes preface your conversations with that interest. Reframe what you're about to say in a way that their mind is already lined up with. And this is a more advanced principle. When you get good at it, it's very powerful. Basically, think about it this way. Everybody's brain is like a tunnel, okay? Going through a mountain. So your brain is a tunnel going through a mountain. Their brain is a tunnel going through their mountain. They're different mountains. And what happens is, what we do is we talk about our experience in our mountain, our tunnel, and they don't understand it because they're in a completely different mountain. And the train of thought that people have, it's, for example, I'll give you a practical example. I'm a very logical person, more mathematical. So my tunnel through my brain has a lot of numbers with it. Well, I had a friend who was very artistic, and I was always trying to convey stuff to them, and they wouldn't get it. And I realized why. I was talking about numbers. I had a lot of numbers in my conversation, and I realized this person's all emotional. I should talk about what I should say with them. I should say how I feel and things like that versus quantifiable stuff. So when you have that ability to step out of your own worldview and jump into other people's, like I said, this is the ninja trick of this book, and that takes a little more practice. But let's try a study guide one. In the study guide, think of somebody, closest person to you in your life. It could be a family member. It could be a romantic. It could be friend or business partner. Okay. I want you to write 3 ways they differ in how they think from you. 3 ways. Could be they're more emotional, they're more logical, they're more impatient, they're more colorful, they're slower to think. So write out 3 things, okay? Now, next time you meet them, you talk in those ways. Don't be yourself. Let me say that again. You should always be yourself in terms of genuine, but it's okay to speak their language. Best example of this is I'm American. English is my language, okay? But when I go to Germany, I try to speak German. That's still genuine. Someone would say, oh, no, you're American. Always speak American. No, they don't understand. Not everyone understands English in Germany. You must learn the language to connect to people. And it's not just literal languages, it's styles of communication. And the last thing is make other people feel important. Recognize people for their accomplishments.